It began like any other quiet day for Jerry Yin and Tong Liya, or at least that's what the public thought. After months of subtle appearances, whispered rumors, and carefully guarded interactions, fans had settled into the rhythm of their relationship updates. But no one, not even the most devoted followers, could have predicted what happened next. Jerry Yin made a move so unexpected that it left Tong Liya speechless. And in true K-drama fashion, the ripple effect sent the internet into a frenzy. It all started when Jerry, who is known for his reserved and calculated nature, suddenly broke character in the most public way possible. For years, he's been the type to keep his emotions under lock and key, protecting not just himself but the people close to him from unnecessary media pressure. Tong Liya, equally private, matched his energy, choosing silence over spectacle. But on this particular day, everything changed. Jerry was scheduled for a routine fan event, the kind that usually follows a predictable format. A few smiles, a couple of short answers, and the signature reserved charm that fans love him for. Tong Liya was not expected to attend. In fact, she was in the middle of rehearsals for an upcoming project and hadn't been spotted anywhere near Jerry's public appearances in weeks. That's why the moment hit so hard when Jerry, standing in front of a packed audience and live cameras, suddenly mentioned her name. At first, it was subtle. A small anecdote slipped into a conversation about life changes and personal growth. But then, it became undeniable. Jerry paused, looked straight into the crowd, and with a calm yet weighted tone, said, "Sometimes in life, you meet someone who reminds you of who you really are. Someone who doesn't just support your dreams, but becomes a part of them." And then, as if he knew the world was hanging on his next words, he added, "For me, that person is Tong Liya." The room froze. The audience's collective gasp was followed by a roar of applause, camera shutters firing at full speed, and the social media storm began instantly. But the most unforgettable reaction wasn't from the crowd. It was from Tong Liya herself. You see, Tong Liya was not in the room. She was watching the live stream from backstage at her rehearsal studio. According to insiders, she was in the middle of running lines when one of her team members handed her a phone with a "you need to see this" expression. And there it was, Jerry Yin, in real time, saying her name to the world. Witnesses say she stopped mid-sentence, her script slipping slightly from her hands as her eyes widened. She didn't say a word for a full minute. It wasn't shock in a negative sense. It was the kind of shock that comes when someone does something you never expected, something so public and uncharacteristic that it shakes you to your core. Tong Liya is used to Jerry's quiet gestures, his way of showing care without the spotlight. But this was a declaration. And not just to her, but to everyone watching. Within hours, hashtags began trending across multiple platforms. Jerry Yin confesses and Tong Liya speechless dominated the feeds. Fans started dissecting every second of the clip, Jerry's body language, the softness in his tone, even the way he smiled slightly after saying her name. People noticed he seemed lighter, more open, as if this was a weight he'd been carrying for a long time. Backstage, Tong Liya reportedly asked for a moment alone. Sources say she replayed the clip more than once, sitting quietly as if trying to absorb every word. Those close to her claim they saw the faintest trace of tears in her eyes, though she quickly brushed them away before returning to her rehearsal. It was the reaction of someone who wasn't just flattered, but deeply moved. And here's where the story takes another turn, because Jerry's move wasn't as spontaneous as it seemed. Behind the scenes, friends of the actor revealed that he had been thinking about doing this for weeks. For someone like Jerry, public displays of affection are rare and calculated. He knew that mentioning Tong Liya by name in such a setting would spark intense media attention, and he wanted to be sure he was ready for the wave that would follow. His reasoning, according to one source, was simple. He wanted her to know, without a doubt, that she is more than just a chapter in his life. She's part of his story. This gesture also comes at a time when their relationship has been under quiet strain. Recent whispers suggested that work schedules, distance, and the constant pressure of public curiosity had created a subtle tension between them. Fans had started noticing fewer joint sightings, fewer indirect references in interviews, and a quieter social media presence. For Jerry to make such a bold move now suggests that he wanted to silence any doubt, not just for her, but for everyone watching. Tong Lia's response after the event was understated but telling. Hours later, she posted a single photo to her social media, a candid shot of a sunrise over the city skyline. No caption, no tags. But fans were quick to point out that the sunrise photo had been taken from the same hotel where Jerry was staying for his event. Whether this was a coincidence or a quiet acknowledgement of his words, only she knows. But to the online community, it felt like her way of saying, "I heard you." Since then, both their teams have stayed silent, refusing to confirm or deny any changes in their relationship status. But insiders claim that the two met privately later that evening. What was said in that meeting is a mystery, but one source described it as emotional, raw, and necessary. Fans, of course, have filled in their own theories. Some believe this was Jerry's way of softening the ground for a bigger announcement, maybe a formal confirmation of their relationship, or even a hint at long-term plans. Others think it was simply a personal milestone for Jerry, a sign that he's ready to be more open about his feelings, even if that means inviting public scrutiny. What's certain is that this moment has re-energized their fan base. The internet is now flooded with compilation videos of Jerry and Tong Lia's past interactions, side-by-side comparisons of their smiles, and slow-motion edits of the exact moment he said her name. For a pair that has built their connection on privacy, this sudden wave of openness is both thrilling and nerve-wracking. The beauty of this story lies in its unpredictability. Jerry Yan, the man who guards his heart with quiet dignity, made a move that risked it all. Tong Lea, caught completely off guard, reacted with a silent grace that spoke volumes. And in that moment, somewhere between the words spoken on stage and the quiet reaction backstage, a new chapter in their story began. For now, fans are left watching, waiting, and wondering what comes next. Will this bold gesture lead to an even bigger revelation? Or was this simply Jerry's way of telling Tong Lea and the world exactly where his heart stands? In the world of K-drama cycle, we know one thing for sure: the story is far from over. And just like the dramas we love, the best moments are often the ones we never saw coming. Jerry Yan's unexpected move toward Tong Lea caught everyone off guard, and from the way she reacted, it was clear she hadn't seen it coming either. It happened during what was supposed to be a quiet dinner with a small group of close friends. Tong Lea had arrived thinking it was just another relaxed evening, but Jerry had other plans. In the middle of the conversation, he suddenly stood, pulled a small velvet box from his jacket, and handed it to her, not with the grand flourish of a proposal, but with the quiet intensity of someone speaking from the heart. Inside wasn't a ring, but a delicate silver bracelet engraved with words only they understood, a shared phrase from a time when they were still finding their way back to each other. Tong Lia's eyes widened, her smile faltered for just a second before she whispered something to him. Witnesses said the mood shifted instantly. She looked both overwhelmed and deeply touched. Jerry, on the other hand, simply sat back down, as though the entire moment was for her alone, not for anyone watching. The gesture has since set social media on fire. Was this Jerry's way of making things official again? Was it an unspoken promise, or something far more personal? Fans are now split. Some think this is the start of a very public reconciliation, while others believe it's their quiet way of showing commitment without labels. Either way, Jerry's move has left everyone, including Tong Lea, speechless.